Second time penalty handed to Kimi Antonelli during the Australian Grand Prix has been removed following a successful right of review request from Mercedes. This decision reinstates the Italian rookie to 4th position in what was an extraordinary debut Formula One race. Antonelli had worked his way from 16th on the grid to cross the finish line in 4th place at Albert Park. However, race stewards initially penalized him for an alleged unsafe release during his final pit stop. Officials claimed Antonelli had been released into the path of Kick Sauber's Nico Hülkenberg, forcing the German driver to brake and take avoiding action. The 5-second penalty dropped Antonelli to 5th position, promoting Williams driver Alex Albon to 4th. This decision came in the closing stages of the race, with Mercedes receiving minimal information about the incident. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff expressed frustration with the handling of the situation, stating, "You can only shake your head. It came up, there's an incident. Nobody saw it, it wasn't played." And 90 seconds later, there was a penalty of 5 seconds. Following the race, Mercedes swiftly exercised their right to appeal by petitioning for a right of review with the stewards. Under FIA regulations, teams have a 96-hour window to submit new evidence that was unavailable at the time of the original decision. The Silver Arrows team moved quickly, filing their paperwork less than an hour after the race concluded. Representatives from Mercedes, Kick Sauber, and Williams were summoned to a hearing with the stewards to examine the new evidence. Mercedes presented critical footage from Antonelli's roll hoop camera, which had not been available during the race. This video was downloaded from Formula One's camera system post-race. The stewards determined this footage constituted significant and relevant new evidence worthy of review. After examining the new roll hoop camera footage, along with additional helicopter video previously unavailable, the stewards reversed their original decision. The FIA stewards explained their reasoning in a document released after the hearing. The document read, "It is clear that Car 12 did not cross into the fast lane until a significant distance down the pit lane and only after the driver checked his mirror to confirm clearance with Car 27. The roll hoop camera shows that he had sufficient room to safely pass the McLaren pits without risk to the McLaren mechanics." Based on this evidence, the penalty was removed, restoring Antonelli to his original 4th-place finish. This marks a significant victory for both the driver and Mercedes team on what was already an impressive debut weekend. Antonelli's reinstatement to 4th place has notable implications for the championship standings. The Italian rookie gains an additional 2 points, bringing Mercedes level with McLaren at the top of the Constructors Championship with 27 points each. Meanwhile, Alex Albon returns to 5th position, receiving 10 points rather than 12 for Williams. Despite this adjustment, Williams maintains its position in 4th place in the Constructors' standings. The penalty reversal caps what was already an extraordinary debut for the 18-year-old Italian driver. Starting from 16th on the grid after a qualifying incident damaged his floor, Antonelli displayed remarkable composure throughout a chaotic race marked by challenging weather conditions. This was only Antonelli's 2nd time driving a Formula One car in wet conditions. His first experience came during testing in a 2021 Mercedes at the Red Bull Ring last April, when snow cut the session short. The Australian Grand Prix marked his first time in a ground-effect F1 car on current-generation intermediate tires. Despite these challenges, Antonelli methodically worked his way through the field. He did experience one spin after passing Hülkenberg for 12th position on lap 15, but recovered well. Antonelli said, "I was lucky to spin in a place where it was safe. Play after the above line."
The team did a great job. They guided me through, especially, after I had the mistake, I kind of hurt my confidence a little bit in that stint, and the team did great to calm me down and to get me back into the rhythm. So, also they made all the right calls.
The rookie continued to make progress as others crashed out or made strategic errors in the changing conditions. In the final sprint to the flag after the last safety car period, Antonelli overtook Albon to secure 4th place on merit. The Australian Grand Prix proved particularly challenging for this year's rookie class. Of the 6 rookies in the field, only Antonelli and Oliver Bearman of Haas managed to reach the finish line. Bearman struggled throughout the weekend with multiple crashes and finished outside the points. Racing Bull's Isaac Hadjar delayed the race start with a crash during the formation lap. Jack Doohan and Gabriel Bortoledo also ended their races in the barriers as they struggled with the difficult conditions. Antonelli's performance stood out not only among rookies, but across the field. His ability to handle the treacherous conditions impressed observers, particularly given his limited experience in Formula One machinery. The right of review process represents a formal procedure under Article 14 of the FIA International Sporting Code. It requires teams to present new evidence that meets specific criteria. It must be significant, relevant, and unavailable at the time of the original decision. Mercedes successfully demonstrated that the roll hoop camera footage met these requirements. The footage clearly showed Antonelli's actions in the pit lane, revealing that he checked his mirrors before moving into the fast lane and maintained safe distance from the McLaren pits. Interestingly, this marked the second time during the Australian Grand Prix weekend that the right of review process led to a penalty reversal. The FIA itself had requested a review of a decision in a supporting Formula 3 race, resulting in another driver's penalty being cancelled. Antonelli's fourth-place finish represents the best result for a Grand Prix debutant since Kevin Magnussen scored a podium on his first outing at the 2014 Australian Grand Prix for McLaren. At 18 years, 6 months, and 19 days old, Antonelli becomes the second youngest point scorer in Formula One history. He is surpassed only by Max Verstappen, who was 17 years, 5 months, and 29 days old when he finished 7th at the 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix. The race featured particularly difficult conditions that tested even the most experienced drivers. Changing weather resulted in multiple transitions between wet and dry tires, creating a significant challenge for all competitors. Antonelli described the difficulties, saying,
Out there, what were all the challenges for you?
I mean, it was super difficult, especially, the start and behind the safety car, the tires were cooling down massively and the grip was nowhere, and also with all these wide lines, it's super, super tricky because as soon as you go over them on traction or even in a high-speed corner, you lose the grip from all this.
The early deployment of the safety car after Jack Doohan's spin compounded these challenges, as tire temperatures dropped significantly during the slower laps. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff expressed strong satisfaction with Antonelli's debut, noting that the team had long recognized his potential. Wolff said, "We always knew the potential. We followed him since he was a kid, and he performs under pressure. Yesterday, in qualifying, that wasn't his doing. He just hit a bump at the wrong place, and he would have qualified much further ahead. Today, he was able to just reel everybody in slowly but surely without making any mistakes. He had a little spin, but otherwise, P4 is the result that he merits." Wolff further emphasized the magnitude of Antonelli's achievement given the conditions. Some very good drivers spun or hit the wall. It was easier to not finish than finish. He kept his cool, and it was very impressive to see. It shows he has a good future, so long as the trajectory carries on as it is. The team principal also praised George Russell, who finished third. There's so much talk about Kimi and he merits it, but George is so good. He extracts from the car more than the car has at times. He makes no mistakes. He's a true leader in the team, and we're lucky to have him. Following the race, Antonelli offered thoughtful reflections on his debut experience. "I think today we got all the worst possible conditions for our first race. Of course, I made a couple of mistakes, especially the spin, but the conditions were super, super tricky. I'm really happy with how it went overall." The rookie acknowledged the learning experience of starting from the back of the grid.
Confident. How different was an F1 race? It was your first one, you've completed it. What did you learn?
I mean, I learned so many things. I think obviously it was disappointing yesterday and probably could have been a different race, but you never know. I think today was really good with how we managed everything, and was a really good experience. Also to see how what happens at the back as well. Obviously, we don't want to start that far anymore.
For sure.
But it was really good experience. Also learning the Inter because was the first time using it, and to learn the tire and see how it behaves was a good experience.
Okay, so finally, happy with this result?
Yeah, happy. Definitely cannot complain about today.
Okay, fantastic. Well, congratulations. Give me the mic. I'll let you go. Thank you.
Leclerc has that inside line. Perez goes off the track, cuts the chicane. Off goes Leclerc. Through goes Hamilton. Unbelievable stuff coming out of the final corner. Perez and Leclerc.
Lewis Hamilton's debut with Ferrari was expected to be nothing short of legendary. Fans and experts alike believed that his arrival would mark a new era of dominance for the iconic Italian team. However, just days before the first race, unexpected reports have sent shockwaves through the Formula One world. Red Bull's advisor, Helmut Marko, has made a bold claim that has left fans questioning Ferrari's decision. According to Marko, Hamilton is not even on the same level as his teammate, Charles Leclerc, at the moment. If this statement holds any truth, Ferrari's dream of returning to championship glory could be in serious jeopardy. Instead of leading the team to success, Hamilton might struggle to match the pace and performance of Leclerc, raising concerns about whether Ferrari's gamble will pay off.
Down the inside, has he outbraked himself? Yes! It's Lewis Hamilton who once again wins the Grand Prix!
He was very fast.
After spending more than 10 years with Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton shocked the Formula One world by announcing that he would be joining Ferrari. This unexpected decision came at a time when Mercedes was struggling to keep up with the incredible speed and dominance of Red Bull.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's recently the 10-year anniversary of me being at this team, and everyone's put together some photos that have been taken along the journey, and I wanted to just, we're going to pick a few of them and talk through some of them. So here we go.
Hamilton had been the king of F1 for several years. From 2017 to 2020, he was nearly unbeatable, winning 4 championships in a row and cementing his place as one of the greatest drivers in history. However, everything changed in 2021. Red Bull, led by their young and talented driver Max Verstappen, rose to power. They built a car that was faster, more powerful, and more consistent than Mercedes's. As a result, Hamilton and his team found themselves constantly trying to catch up, but they simply couldn't match Red Bull's performance. With Mercedes no longer able to provide him with a title-winning car, Hamilton decided it was time for a fresh start. His move to Ferrari was a bold step, fueled by the hope that the legendary Italian team could give him the chance to fight for championships again. However, whether this decision will lead to glory or disappointment remains to be seen. With Ferrari, Hamilton saw a fresh challenge and an opportunity to fight at the top once again. But with Leclerc firmly established as the team's leader, the real question became, could Hamilton outshine the young Monegasque driver on his own turf?
Both drivers were clearly limited by the car. Many would say the sport's most record-breaking driver moving to the sport's most record-breaking team is a no-brainer. It's supposedly the seat every driver wants, and the chance to race in red doesn't come along.
Pre-season testing in Bahrain gave fans their first real look at Lewis Hamilton's new journey with Ferrari. The exciting part? Ferrari seemed to be in great shape, showing strong performance by finishing second and third in the timing charts. However, there was also a concern. It was Charles Leclerc, Hamilton's teammate, who appeared to be the faster driver. Even though Hamilton managed to set a time just 0.05 of a second quicker than Leclerc, there was an important detail to consider. Leclerc was reportedly facing a technical issue that reduced the amount of time he could spend on the track. This raised questions about whether Leclerc could have been even faster if he had a trouble-free session. This is where Helmut Marko's brutal assessment comes in. Speaking to Sport.de, the Red Bull advisor didn't hold back. In Bahrain, Leclerc was the much faster one. Marko stated, "That's normal. He knows the team, he knows the car. Hamilton drove a lot of laps, gradually improved, but was not quite at Leclerc's level." George Russell shared his thoughts on Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc's new partnership at Ferrari, praising Leclerc's talent and anticipating a close battle between the two. He noted that having 2 top-tier drivers in the same team can lead to both healthy competition and potential tension. Speaking to BBC Sport, Russell, who raced alongside Hamilton at Mercedes, acknowledged the 7-time champion's abilities but admitted that Ferrari presents a new challenge. Charles is a fantastic driver, no doubt about that, so I'm going to be really intrigued to see how that pans out because they're 2 amazing drivers, Russell said. It's quite an interesting dynamic, but I think it'll be close between the 2 of them. Russell's words suggest a more balanced fight than Marko's comments imply. But the reality remains. Leclerc has been Ferrari's main man for 6 years. Will Hamilton struggle to break through? Overall, he seems excited to see how the rivalry and teamwork between Hamilton and Leclerc will play out throughout the season. Concern for Hamilton is qualifying pace. Last season, Mercedes' inconsistent car made it difficult for him to extract top-tier performances on a single lap, with the 2025 season shaping up to be extremely competitive. Even a few tenths of a second in qualifying could mean dropping several grid positions. Marco highlighted just how crucial this will be. One is a multiple world champion. The other, Leclerc, is chasing his first title, but he is one of the best qualifiers. 3 or 4 tenths of a second difference in qualifying can make up 3 to 5 grid positions. And you know how difficult overtaking is these days. In simple terms, if Hamilton doesn't fix his qualifying struggles, he could be playing catch-up all season long. Beyond the driver battle, there's another potential issue: Ferrari itself. Despite promising early speed, concerns are emerging that their SF25 may not be as strong as it looks. If Ferrari starts the season trailing Red Bull and McLaren, could Hamilton's motivation take a hit? Marco seems to think so. He went to Ferrari of his own volition. He was looking for this new challenge, and I think he will do everything he can to ensure that his expectations are met. But it could also be that if the factors don't fit together, he sees no chance of winning, that he then loses some of his motivation. Hamilton is known for his relentless drive, but would a slow start to 2025 frustrate him? Leclerc, meanwhile, has never faced a teammate of Hamilton's caliber. If Ferrari truly wants to fight for a title, they'll need both drivers at their peak, and if Hamilton can close the gap and match Leclerc's pace, this could be one of the most thrilling intra-team battles in F1 history.
And Hamilton versus Leclerc is resuming next year, but is that a preview of what's to come? Because Hamilton takes it back, or can he? No, sweeping around the outside to finally claim 5th place. Well, if that's a sign of things to come, bring it on. Just a bit of
Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari has sparked excitement and debate. While he's a legendary driver, early signs suggest Charles Leclerc may have the edge. Helmut Marko fuels the controversy, but George Russell expects a close battle. Hamilton's key challenges will be adapting to Ferrari, improving qualifying, and staying motivated. The 2025 season promises an intense fight. Can Hamilton silence his critics, or will Leclerc remain Ferrari's lead driver? What do you think? Is Helmut Marko right? Will Leclerc outshine Hamilton at Ferrari, or is this just an early setback for the 7-time champion?
Experience crazy things all the time, especially coming to Italy. And an event like this had never been done before, and it was just exceptional. To be driving in the streets of Milan with so much tifosi was very special.
When Hamilton officially joined Ferrari in January 2025, it sent shockwaves through the motorsport world. After 12 years with Mercedes power, the most successful driver in modern F1 history embarked on an intensive immersion program with his new team.
Well, firstly, already just driving Ferrari is a huge honor, but they already have an incredible legacy. So it's not that they need necessarily another championship, because they have so many already, but I know that's what they exist to do, to work towards, and I know that Tifosi are dying for that, and it would be, I wouldn't be able to find the words to be able to express just how special that would be, but that's what we work towards.
We've seen Hamilton alongside Leclerc at the F175 live event and putting in crucial laps at pre-season testing in Bahrain. But behind the scenes, questions remained about how these two elite drivers would work together. Would their different driving styles create development conflicts? Would the team favor the established champion or their homegrown talent? Those questions made Leclerc's recent comments all the more surprising. During preseason testing in Bahrain, Leclerc was asked about his initial experience working with Hamilton. His response left everyone stunned. He said, I was surprised. Our driving style is very similar. We both like to push quite a lot, especially the entries, and on that, we are quite similar. This is massive news for Ferrari. When new teammates join forces, different driving preferences often create conflicts in car development. One driver might prefer a stable rear end while another needs strong front end grip. These contradictions can tear a team's focus in different directions. Leclerc continued, "That's positive because I think it requires the same thing out of the car, and I think as a team that is always a good thing because we'll definitely push in the same direction because we need the same things." This unexpected similarity could be the key to unlocking Ferrari's potential in 2025. The technical aspects of this revelation are even more fascinating. According to inside reports from testing, both drivers share a preference for a particular driving technique, throttle and brake overlap. This is an advanced skill where drivers apply both pedals slightly simultaneously to maintain engine power while slowing down. It's extremely difficult to master, but both Hamilton and Leclerc have shown exceptional proficiency with this technique, particularly in medium-speed corners like Turn 10 in Bahrain. For Hamilton to adapt so quickly to the SF25's characteristics after spending his entire career in a completely different car, philosophy is astonishing. He's not just adapting, he's actively evolving his driving style to extract maximum potential from the Ferrari. What makes this partnership particularly interesting is the contrast in their situations when joining the team. Leclerc said, "When I joined, I only had done 1 year in Formula One with Sauber, so everything was still new to me, and I had to learn how a team like Ferrari would work in Formula One, even though I knew the factory and everything by being in the Ferrari Driver Academy before." Meanwhile, Hamilton arrives with a completely different background. For Lewis, an Italian team is pretty new to him, but he has achieved so much and he arrives here as a legend of the sport. Leclerc clearly holds tremendous respect for Hamilton's achievements. It's really cool to see what it was like for him to have so much success in other teams and the way they used to work. So on that, we've learned a lot, and it was really exciting to see how happy and excited he was about the whole thing. Perhaps the most telling quote from Leclerc reveals his tremendous respect for Hamilton's experience. "I have more to gain from Lewis than he does from me," he said to Sky Sports. "I think a driver like Lewis doesn't need any advice." This is a remarkable admission from a driver who has been Ferrari's golden boy for years, even when four-time champion Sebastian Vettel was his teammate. Leclerc still acknowledges his advantage in team familiarity. "I know the Ferrari environment very well. I grew up here in Maranello, so I feel at home. But yes, Lewis set up immediately and he doesn't need advice. If he needs it, I'm here." He elaborated further. "We talk a lot, so he certainly had a lot of questions, but so did I for him, because in the end, I'm the one who has to learn the most." The respect is clearly mutual between these champions. Hamilton has spoken very highly of Leclerc during preseason testing. "Charles is massively talented," Hamilton said at Bahrain. "Getting to see him work opposite the table and watching him in the garage, it's been really, really great." Hamilton recognizes Leclerc's deep integration with the team. "Obviously, he's been here for a long time, so he knows the team well. He speaks Italian, he's at home and at ease. But because we already had a friendship before, that's made it a lot easier to just get straight into working together."